Okay, perfect. Okay, so again, welcome. Hi, everyone. My name is Gisela. Again, I'm the president of Teen Club. So today I'm gonna be talking a little bit about what has been a possible benefit of COVID-19. Some might be wondering, why, what could be a good thing or a positive thing of COVID-19? But probably not for us, but it has been some good things for the environment. We have been giving a break to the environment. So I'm just gonna talk a little bit about what are some of the benefits of us being in lockdown. So just as a disclaimer, this presentation it was put together by me. I did some research from different online sources, articles. So I try to find us, reliable information, but it's not. You can always find research it and see how accurate that is. Um, so first, I would like to take a little bit of background information. If you guys are, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Paris Agreement. So I'm not gonna get much into the background history, but I'm just gonna point out some of the most relevant things in order to get to my point a little bit later. So basically, the Paris Agreement it was an agreement that was signed. It was established during the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change in 2015. So it was signed for about more than 197 countries, including the USA. So with this agreement, it was not like official agreement, since it was more like a commitment. So all these countries, they committed to reduce the CO2 emissions. So each country was gonna take like different actions according to the levels of the CO2 emissions to basically try to keep CO2 emissions as low as possible to reduce the increase in the temperature. So the final goal of this agreement was to limit the global average temperature increase to less than 2 degrees Celsius. So if the temperature increases more than 2 degrees Celsius, then that's technically contributing to what we know as global warming. So if the temperature increases more than 2, we see like the ice melting, we have like hotter summers, colder winters, which is technically what we have seen lately. So that's basically that's one of the reasons of global warming. And basically how the CO2 emissions affect the global warming. Basically, we have what we call the greenhouse gases. So the CO2, carbon dioxide, it's one of those greenhouse gases that is basically trapped in the atmosphere. And if it's not released if it's not released out, then it's just gonna be like circling around, and then again we're gonna be a little bit warmer than usual, I said. So that's kind of a little bit of the Paris Agreement. Unfortunately, like everything was great. The countries were trying to, come out with a plan to reduce the CO2 emissions. The APA, Environmental Protection Agency here in the USA, was doing a great job. During the President Obama, they were like implemented a bunch of different programs to work on the CO2 emissions. But unfortunately, in 2017, like after elections, President Trump, I think we are all aware that he doesn't really believe in climate change. So he decided to withdraw from this agreement. So it wasn't effective because, like everything here in politics, it has to go, over the Senate. So they had to vote, and then everybody has to say, something about it. So, but in 2017, he said, hey, you know what? We're not going to be in this anymore. So he started the process to withdraw from this agreement because he said that it was unfair for the American workers, business, and taxpayers by the U.S. So he was, seeking a agreement that was more beneficial for the U.S. So it took some time, but according to what I know, it's so far last year, November 4th, He officially submitted the notification letter to the UN, the United Nations. So it will be effective a year from November 4th. So it will be November 4, 2020, this year, the USA, it will be officially out of the Paris Agreement. So technically, I don't know if, they are gonna be doing something else to work in, different programs, implementing another programs to basically limit the CO2 emissions, which I probably don't think so, because, this, I guess, government, it's not really concerned about climate change. So we'll see what happens in the future. But honestly, I'm not really, I don't feel really positive about it, which is really bad, because honestly, we all know that USA has been considered like a superpower for many years. And it's like USA withdrawing from this agreement, it might lead to other countries to say, hey, USA is not there, why do I have to be there? So one of the, like, two of the countries that they were like really seeking to keep in this agreement was China and India, which are they are two developing countries, and they are the two of the greatest air polluters in the world, because they are countries that are in the process of developing. So they are using like inexpensive materials, which is, fossil fuels, coal, and all that, that basically causes like a lot of air pollution. And we see it. I'm going to show you a couple of pictures about China, basically. So this is kind of like a little bit of background information on this Paris Agreement. So like I said at the beginning, what could be a possible benefit of the lockdown? I mean, we were like not very happy about it, right? We had to stay home. We were not able to leave our houses or see our friends, but it was a benefit for the environment. And I can tell you, because personally, I noticed it. Like for my work, I work all the way to Riverside, so I had to drive every weekend. And honestly, it was great at the beginning, because there was literally no traffic on the freeways. Like the freeway, I had to take the freeway 91. It was always packed, and there was no traffic. So I was like, wow, this is amazing. There was no traffic, there was no smoke, the air was clean. So those are the benefits that I'm talking about. We probably don't see it much, or like we can't perceive those changes, but they happened. And like I say, I noticed it, and I was like, I was really happy that there was no traffic on the freeway. So usually, we live in California, we're always stuck in traffic, always, and there was like for months, like that didn't happen, so that's a great thing. So I kind of like put together this sort of timeline. So like I said, I already talked about June 1st of 2017, when President Trump say, hey, we're not gonna be with the Paris Agreement anymore. I already talked about, the process began on 2019. So the point is, from December 2019, that's when, we start hearing on the news, hey, COVID-19 in China, and then Europe, and then finally came to America. So in 2020, we started with the stay-home orders, and then a few months later, so I start hearing, good news about CO2 emissions are dropping. They have been the lowest record since pre-industrial, or the lowest record in the last decade, things like that. And I was really happy to hear that, because actually one of the articles that I read, it was talking about how, we haven't had that record, so it dropped by about 8% roughly. So we haven't had that drop since the pre-industrial, time. So that's a long time, and we're gonna see these it many decades after 2020. Since I think we posted a YouTube video on social media, but if not, I'm gonna post that again. It's a really good video that talks about how long it takes for CO2 emissions to actually, how long do they stay in our planet? And it talks basically about Antarctic. It's basically like the CO2 emissions during the first 4 months that's going to be reflected 100 years, because the CO2 is trapped on ice and it stays there for about 100 years. So in 100 years from 2020, people who are, well, if there's still some ice left, whatever ice is left, they're gonna see that CO2 emissions were very low on 2020. So that's gonna be interesting. So like I said, here we have some pictures that I wanted to show. I was really excited when I saw this. So we have China, right before the whole COVID-19. It was pretty bad. It's been some time that China, the air quality in China, it's really, really harmful. People have to wear masks all the time, because it's really unhealthy to breathe that type of air. The quality of the air, it was really, really bad. The ozone layer, like, it was suffering like it was really damaged. So it was kind of like there was a little bit of concern that the ozone layer might have a hole, or might have a hole in the future, in the near future, because of so much pollution. So the after picture is just between those 4 months from January to April. So you see the big change. This is before, and this is on the first 4 months where everything was closed. Like, no factories were open, manufacturers, nothing. Like, everything was completely shut down, and it completely clean. The ozone layer is healthy. The air was finally breathable, and it wasn't harmful to breathe. So those are great news, right? And unfortunately, we cannot stay like that forever. We cannot stay home forever. But this basically, what I'm trying to say is that COVID has proven that we can definitely make a change. Like, our actions, our decisions are definitely showing that are harming the environment. This has proven that if we just change our actions, we can definitely have a great impact on the environment. We can I can say that we can give them a break every once in a while, right? And to your right side, you can see that some of the it's comparing basically the biggest polluters, compared from 2019, which is the blue, versus the 2020. So we can see in China, there was a difference of about 8%, a little bit more than 8%, almost 9%. So we have the United States, again, it's about 9%. We see Europe, we see India, we see Russia. Okay, so overall, the global emissions drop at about 8.3. So that's a number that is a little bit different in different articles, but all of them, I agree that it's been about 8% compared to the 2019. And that's talking about only the first 4 months of 2020, January through April. So that is a huge change in just 4 months. And again, basically one of the sectors, I guess we can say, that contribute to this drop in the CO2 emissions was aviation.